What's going on, guys? So we are long overdue for a walk around and kind of a video of my thoughts on the LTR 450. Now, some of you know that kind of message me often and we keep in touch. Kind of knew that I was on the hunt for a 450, and I was mainly looking at newer YFZ 450s. Just a newer YFZ 450R. It would just be nice. I just figured it would be nice to have something new to kind of complement the old that I have back there. And I was looking at a few YFZs, even a few TRX 450s, and believe it or not, even a few KTM 450 XCs popped up, and I was really considering those as well. The main reason I was kind of straying away from the KTM is the parts I don't know about. I know they're not necessarily hard to get, but some are very expensive. And then with the TRX and the KTM, they're both carbureted, and I kind of wanted, if I got a third quad, I just wanted it to have it. I just wanted to have fuel injection again. I used to have an LTR about 15 years ago, and then I had a 06 Raptor 700. So it was just kind of nice having something fuel injected. That may end up biting me later on with this guy, but we'll see. But basically, I was just on the hunt, mainly looking for YFZs, and then this thing popped up on the other side of the state for a reasonably good price, considering today's crazy markup on everything. This was when I bought it. It was 100% bone stock, and it had the original handlebars, the original grips, the original tires, the original chain and sprockets. Like, it was almost like you picked it up from the dealer. It was awesome, and it was you never know when something like that's gonna pop up again. So I said, you know what, let's go ahead and jump on it. I'm not gonna say what I paid for it. I think I paid a reasonable price given the time, so I'll just say that. But it's an 06, and if this was like an 08, I probably even wouldn't have considered it, only because, well, I guess I probably would have. There was actually a few 08s that popped up as well, but I really like the 06, 07. They just have a little bit stronger transmission, and they're kind of regarded, at least in the LTR community in the United States, they're kind of regarded as kind of the years to go for. So that's what I did. Pulled the trigger on it, and here we are. I love it. It brings back a lot of memories of the one I used to have. I don't think I appreciate at the time when I had the last LTR, they were kind of still new. So I didn't really appreciate it at the time what it was. And as time has gone on, I feel like, and I think even Mike Walsh has said it in a few podcasts, that the LTR is pretty much the 250R of the modern quad era, I guess you could say. It was only at least the United States, it was only made for really 3 years, I guess 4 if you want to consider 09, but there wasn't many 09 sold. We can kind of go into that a little bit, but they're regarded as probably the best handling quad, at least out of the box. The 250R, it's a kind of an argument there. I can almost say the 250R is a little bit better handling once you get the suspension set up and everything, obviously, but it's considered to be probably the best turning for sure. And they make really good power, just stock. And that's kind of what I liked. I don't really have to do anything to it. With a YFZ 450R, by the time you buy one, even if you buy a 2020, which down here in Florida, there was a bunch of 2020s and 2021s, and they were all listed for $7,500. And realistically, I probably could have got one for $6,900 or $7,000. But then just to get it on par with this, or even let alone like the Z, you'd really have to spend quite a bit of money. $800 for a Vortex, another $600-700 for an exhaust, another $350, whatever it is for an FCI, all that stuff. And if I was just going to have one quad, that a newer Yamaha would make 100% sense. Or if I was racing and trying to be competitive, then a newer Yamaha would obviously be the way to go. So if you're watching this and you're looking for something, you're looking for a sport quad, and you're looking to be kind of competitive, I mean, it's the writing's on the wall. You got to go Yamaha. I'm not afraid to say that. Or one of these if you plan on doing a hybrid, if you're pretty mechanically inclined. But I digress. So the great thing about this is, and I've already kind of broken some rules that I wanted to do. When I bought it, I told myself I was going to leave it mostly stock, and I've adhered to that a little bit, but some of the things, as you can see, I've changed. So, but the great thing about them is you only need to put a cherry bomb on them, which is just basically, if you're pretty familiar with dirt bikes, it's pretty much just a coupler. A lot of the newer dirt bikes have, aside from Yamaha, which you can adjust on your phone, all the other bikes have couplers pretty much that access different maps within the ECU. With the Suzuki, you can only do one coupler, and it accesses a race map, which I believe just increases the timing, the fuel map, it raises the rev limiter, and basically on the dyno, I believe it increases the horsepower by like 7. And then that's with a stock exhaust, airbox lid removed, and that $39 Yoshimura cherry bomb, which is right, you can see it right there, and it plugs in right there. That's pretty much the diagnostic port. Like if you were to take it to the dealership, they would plug their diagnostic tool in there to read codes and everything else. But that little cherry bomb, as they call it, is kind of what got the LTR in trouble. This wasn't, I guess you would say, labeled as a closed course or closed competition vehicle like a dirt bike, that they can still get away with that to this day. This was kind of labeled more as an off-road OHV, I guess, if you will. And the EPA did not like that. So they cracked down on Suzuki, and rather than Suzuki changing stuff on it to comply, they just kind of squashed the LTR platform in general. Now, I believe they continued selling these in Canada and Australia all the way up until 2012, but in the United States, they stopped in 2009. So they made a few updates in 2008. They changed the transmission, the head, the exhaust a little bit, made a little more power. And then in 2009, I think they revised the transmission again. So, but other than that, the frame, the geometry, plastics, all that are interchangeable through all the years. But that's kind of like a quick synopsis of the LTR in general. But I figured we could do a quick walk around. As you can see, I'm still going to try and stick to this. I'm trying my hardest. Is I want to stay with the stock A-arms, and obviously I'm going to stay with the stock swing arm. You know, if the stock swing arm is good for Dustin Wimmer and Chris Borich, I don't need to change. We don't need to change swing arms. Not to mention the LTR swing arm is kind of an upgrade for the LTZ. So we've got the, I'm trying to keep the suspension mostly stock aside from the front shocks. I really wanted to do floats, and I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this. I've already rode twice with them. I love them, but I kind of wish I just would have left the stock front shocks on there and just had them redone. It's just something about the way a stock LTR feels. It just feels so good. And I didn't mess anything up. I just, it's more congruent with the other quads. I like having the full adjustability, but the stock shocks are really pretty good. And I ended up keeping the stock rear shock. I did put a red spring on it, and I sent it off to Matt Blommel over in Dade City and had him go through it and valve it for me and everything. And I just love the stock shocks. The stock rear shock, especially if you look at the shaft on it, it is really, it's thick. It's the same. It's the same or thicker diameter than like an Axis, on these aftermarket shocks over here. And they have high speed compression, which you probably can't really see it. I guess you can kind of see it. It's that gold outer adjuster. The high speed compression, if you guys don't know, it's a separate circuit from the low speed. So you can adjust the low speed compression and the high speed compression separately. And you can really back out the high speed compression adjuster. If you're a trail rider, back it out almost all the way and then turn it back in like maybe a quarter turn. And what's going to happen is you're going to keep all that stiff low speed compression, which is great for, jumps and everything else. But that high speed will really help you soak up like all the chop and the sand and the roots, and it just makes the whole ride plusher. And I always, if you're going to go aftermarket shocks, spend the money and get a high speed compression adjuster. That said, and that was one of the things, the stock front shocks don't have a high speed compression adjuster. The floats obviously do, but they do have low speed and rebound and preload and all that good stuff, and they can be valved and set up really well. And that's kind of what I wish I would have done, but that's what we did. So that's the shocks. But yeah, stock axle, swing arm, A-arms. I did put a Hess XC linkage on the back. And I didn't really do that for any, I guess you can kind of see it there. I didn't really do that for any performance gains. All I really did that was ride height. Because the stock linkage is designed around 18-inch motocross, 18-inch rear, 21-inch or 20-inch front motocross tires. And obviously I have the bigger XC Masters front and back. And I'm just using that linkage to kind of correct the ride height, which is what it was designed for. It's designed to kind of bring the ride height back to where it needs to be with an XC setup. So that's what I did there. Other than that, yeah, stock A-arms, spindles, brakes, everything. That's the suspension, front and back. I'm going to start at the top, and we'll just kind of work our way around the whole deal. But before I do that, the graphics that were on it, this was a Montana quad, and I think it was only ridden, you know, like maybe 6 months out of the year, if that. And it looks like it was stored for a long time. And the stock graphics were just toast. I mean, they were gone. So there's a guy on eBay, graphics producers. They're over in the country of Cyprus in the Mediterranean, and he actually reproduces like all these OEM graphics. And so these are all reproduction graphics here, with the exception of these. I was able to salvage the tank covers, and this is a new OEM Quadracer logo there and a new Suzuki decal here, but everything else are reproduction, and they match perfectly. They're awesome. So I really wanted to do that just to kind of give it that OEM clean look. So that's what's going on with the graphics. The usual handlebar setup. So from left to right, we got our ODI grips. These are the 120 millimeter grips, just to give me room on the bars for other things. Dirt bike kill switch for a start button. Works connection, EZ-Perch clutch lever, love it. I do have an LTZ400, a new OEM Suzuki LTZ400 clutch cable and clutch arm, which you can kind of see in there. And what that does is just gives an easier pull over the stock LTR clutch setup. The LTZ clutch arm is like a 1/4 inch longer than the LTR, so it gives the leverage ratio, it just makes it easier on you. Powermadd Star Series handguards, I love these, they're tough. I actually already had these in a drawer for the LTZ, so it just made sense to just run these guys. Fasst Flexx 15-degree Quadracer bend handlebars. I really like the 15-degree, just kind of brings it back to you. And I'm running the yellow elastomers, which I believe are the medium, pretty much medium density elastomers. Stock LTR master cylinder with works connection cover and rotator clamp. The stock one was a little roached. The stock cover was kind of, I think it's magnesium. It was just kind of eaten up a little bit. Move around. I think there's a horsefly in here, so I'm sorry if the camera's shaking. I keep having to smack it off of me. The usual good old Urmosi adjustable throttle. I made a video on that. And yeah, that's my handlebar setup. I am running a Lonestar stock height stem, and I wish I would have went with a +1. That's okay. I found these Enduro Engineering machine spacers that you can stack. So I got roughly 3/4 of an inch rise here with those spacers. I'm running an LSR Antivibe clamp with the built-in tab for the kill switch. It's just a Tusk kill switch. Moving over to the left, I relocated all the idiot lights, or the dash lights, on the stock setup, if you will. So I moved all of those to the fender. Probably gonna hear the fuel pump prime, but that's okay. So all the idiot lights are there in the fender now, which I think is a little bit nicer anyways. Moving around the side, I went ahead when I first got it, the guy did a little bit of maintenance on it. I don't know if I believe everything he said he did, but I went ahead and did a new OEM swirl filter. You don't know, but if you know, you know. I'm just going to stick with the OEM swirl filter on this instead of one of those inline deals. I used to run an inline on my 06 and my old 06 and never had a problem, but I figure I'm going to try and stay OEM on this build. Replace the fuel pump with a new OEM Suzuki fuel pump. He said he put a new OEM Suzuki injector in it, which I checked it out and it looks like it is. And he gave me the old one, so I'll believe him on that. There's a few things he said he did I don't really know if I 100% believe. He said he changed the swirl filter, and I don't think he did. There was a ton of debris in there when I opened it up. So that's something, you know, if you guys get an LTR, regardless of what they say they did, just go through, just take it upon yourself, and when you get it, strip the tank, you know, pull the tank off, put a new OEM swirl filter in it, blow out all the fuel lines, consider replacing the fuel pump and whatnot. If it's original, just due to age. It's just a good idea. Works connection, timing inspection bolt. If you can't find these for an LTR or an LTZ will work in here. You can also use a Yamaha YFZ 450R or Raptor 700. They'll fit in here too. They just won't work on the top one, but I just like these. They're way better than the stock magnesium ones that strip out when you go to, they're pretty much like a one-time plug, the stock ones. It's just what I found. Stock shift lever, I am running the usual UPPK saver that I'm also running on both of those. Primary drive sprockets, front and back, with a primary drive gold X-ring chain. That's kind of the setup here on the left side. Move to the back. Yoshimura RS5 full exhaust on the back here. Colored up really nice. And then under the seat, and I really don't plan on changing this. Let's see if I can get this off. I am just running a stock replacement twin air. That little stuff there you see is just grease. I put a little bit of grease on the lip. The factory Suzuki team used well, they didn't use twin air, they used OEM Suzuki filters, but I just see no reason to do a billet flange or any of the crazy, you know, FCI stuff on this. It makes enough power stock for me for what I do, and if the factory Suzuki team use this setup, it's good enough for me. So, twin air filter with PJ1 filter spray. Quadtech gripper seat with the super grip sides. So same, as you can see, my rider triangle is pretty much the same on all the quads. By that I mean handlebars, grips, seat, and pegs are pretty similar. These are factory 43 EVO Nerfs. And other than this tab right here, where I had to make custom brackets on each side, you can kind of see those custom brackets. They fit perfect. Like, way better than the Wrath Nerfs on that Z. I'm not gonna, you know, those things really fought me bad, and I'm not gonna try to talk too bad about Wrath because I know he mainly, you know, if it was a YFZ 450R or a TRX 450, probably would have fit a little bit better. But man, if you guys want a high-end Nerf bar, I know it's made in Canada, but really these factory 43, they're killer. Like everything lined up, the bolt holes all lined up, aside from them. Those fender mounts, which isn't a big deal. They're just, man, I was really impressed. And if I get another quad in the future, or even maybe for that one, I may put these, you know, these same style Nerfs on that. So really liked them. Really just, you can tell a little more attention to detail was made making those. And I kind of like how it's a separate piece. I mean, it's got the integrated heel guard, but it bolts on here, so it's kind of compartmentalized. I like that a little bit. Just kind of a neat look. Moving back, so back down here, I replaced the stock rotor guard on the for the rear rotor. I replaced that with a Ryland Johnson Racing stainless steel rotor guard. And before I I got it bare because it looked really cool, bare metal. I went ahead and used shark hide on it, which is kind of like a clear coat, just to protect it and preserve it. I know it's not going to rust anyway, but his welds just look amazing. Can't really see it under here probably too. Well, yeah, you can. It's a really beefy product, And I was going to do my usual Hess GT Thunder rotor guard like I do kind of on all the other quads, but I wanted to try something different, and I like this because I didn't have to pull the axle out to install it. It was literally just 2 bolts and you're done. And those rotor guards are really highly regarded in the cross-country racing world, so I figured I'd give it a try. Moving around to this side, we've got obviously the Yoshimura head pipe there and heat shield. Hinson quick change clutch cover. We have a Fasst company rear brake spring right here, so it's like integrated into the master cylinder shaft instead of having an external spring that can break or fall off. It's all built in, which I put that on all the quads as well. Stock coolant hoses, I'm not doing anything crazy there. Yeah. We are running currently, these are the wheels that were on the Z. These are just Alba bead locks. I do have, kind of went crazy last year with titanium, but I got titanium bead lock bolts all the way around just to try to cut down on some rotational mass, because these XC Masters, while I love them and they're like my favorite tire, they really are pretty heavy. So I was trying to cut down just on rotational mass. Obviously you really can't tell the difference, but it's just something I was trying to do. And then I got Douglas A5s up front, GBC 21-inch front, GBC 20-inch in the back. Stock rear grab bar, which I am thinking about. I wish I could get my hands on one of those Hauser drop down just to make it easier to pick up. The factory Suzuki team for MX and XC ran the stock grab bar, so it's no problem, but it does, it kind of scoops up. It does make it a little tougher to pick it up every now and then. It makes the back end feel heavier than it is, and that's why I kind of like those drop down style grab bars. Running an AC Racing front bumper. This is funny because it's the same bumper on all 3 quads, if you can see a theme here. And it not only is it the same style bumper, it is like actually the same bumper. I have a 400EX AC Racing front bumper on all 3 quads. So I've said it in a previous video, but if you're new to sport quads and you're looking for an aftermarket front bumper, don't limit your search to just the machine you're looking for. As long as you don't have a Yamaha, if you have a Honda or Suzuki, pretty much they're all interchangeable. From what I've gathered so far, just over the past 15, 20 years of doing this, the 250R, 400EX, 450R, LTZ, LTR450 all share the same front bumper. You might have, like on the LTR here, I did have to use some spacers on the upper one, but as far as like fitment and bolt, spacing and everything, they're all the same. So, and you might have to, like on the LTZ, I had to trim the bottom a little bit to clear the skid plate. Other than that, they're all the same front bumper. And that is that. Now for future mods, what I am going to do is I really like the EHS racing lids for the airbox. It just kind of keeps, I'm not searching for every little nth of power. I'm okay with sacrificing a little for protection or longevity. So I really like these EHS, these like filter little outerwear covers for the lid. I'm just waiting. When I bought the quad, it didn't come with the stock lid. So I had to buy a lid on eBay, and then I got this from EHS, and I'm gonna install this on the lid. And this will just kind of keep mud and debris and just sand from getting into the air, into the airbox and coating the airbox. Because I like to clean the airbox every time I do an air filter change. I don't just stick a new filter in a dirty airbox. That drives me friggin' nuts. People do that. Take care of your stuff. Anyway, so yeah, this is gonna go on there. And it's gonna go on the quad. You do probably lose a little bit of power like on a dyno, but man, when you're out in the woods, you're not gonna notice something like that. So we're gonna do that. And again, I was trying to keep it OEM and keep like the stock brake lines and everything. But this is just me being goofy. I bought it, everything's available online now in terms of like PDFs, and everyone usually downloads the OEM service manuals or whatever as a PDF. I usually go Climber, but Climber didn't make a manual for the LTR, so I got an actual OEM paperback service manual here, and then of course I'm reading through it like a goon, and it says replace the brake lines every 4 years, or which is obviously you don't probably have to really do that at all. There's probably 30-year-old machines running their stock brake lines still, but it just gave me an excuse in my mind to go ahead and get stainless brake lines just like I have on the 250R and the Z. I'm going to go dual stainless on the front, and then obviously a single stainless on the back, and with some new brake line clamps on the A-arm. So we will have stainless lines on this, and then I may even, just to keep it the same feel as the others, I may even put a Honda master cylinder on here. I don't know yet. There's nothing wrong with the Suzuki one. It's all the same Nissan master cylinders, but the stock ones, I hate when they paint these, because when you tighten these caps, you know, you get a little bit of corrosion around the top. The brake fluid will just eat the paint, and I don't know why they ever painted those. So I like that Honda just kept them bare aluminum, so that's probably what I'm going to do. I think I even have one, and which is the only reason I'm considering it. I think I have one in one of my parts boxes, so probably will do that. Oh, and then I obviously forgot I have a precision stabilizer up front, which is, to me, a must for anyone that's serious about sport quad riding. Just lets you loosen your grip, relax, and then it's just kind of one of those mods you don't really notice until you get on someone else's quad who doesn't have one. Just really helps quite a bit. So that is where we are at with this guy. And then one last thing for a future mod, let me know what you guys think, but my old 06 was yellow. I feel like everyone has kind of gone away from yellow and has done, you know, more white and black and even red. But man, something about that old school yellow, you just think of Suzuki and you think yellow. You know, Ken Roxon doing really well this year. The whole Suzuki Supercross team, 450s and 250s, just doing really well, and it just kind of makes me want to go yellow. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, if I should stick with the white or go yellow. I'm kind of thinking yellow, but it'll be later down the road, and obviously I would keep the white just as like a backup, or if I wanted a different flavor or something for the weekend, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for the walk around and current mods and possible future mods. I'm really going to try not to go long travel on the front. I don't need it. I don't. This is perfect. It just handles well, does everything I need it to do down here. Those quads, for how I ride in Florida with all the whoops and at Croom, I could justify going long travel on those. This one, it's just, man, they're really good stock. So, but we'll see. You never know if a deal pops up or something. And then obviously, I'm probably not gonna do anything with the motor. I'm gonna leave it stock. I may plan on doing a hybrid build in the future. So what I may do is, just because it's kind of a bolt-on deal, is Hampson Racing makes a tank that uses a submersible Kean CRF450 fuel pump. So it would still be kind of OEM-ish in that it'll be a Kean fuel pump. It'll be hidden. It'll get rid of the external fuel pump, the external filter. It'll all be consolidated into the tank. And I may do that just to A, clean all this up, and B, it would kind of be a prep for the future, you know, if I wanted to do a CRF450, a newer Honda CRF450 engine in here, which they make bolt-in kits for, which is really cool. It would give me that kind of foot in the door to do that. It would make it a little easier to do that, and it would just help with the stock LTR setup as well. So that might be something I do. But yeah, guys, appreciate you guys watching. I know this was a little long overdue. Sorry I haven't been uploading as much as I used to or should. We'll try to get some more riding videos for you. Just honestly, I've just been enjoying riding and not videoing, and then coming back and having to upload it to the computer and then edit a little, you know, few things and then post it to YouTube. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just been nice, just kind of riding, washing, maintaining, putting them away, and repeating the next weekend. So, but appreciate all you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the purchase, about the quad itself. and any suggestions you have down below. Appreciate you guys as always. Catch you in the
I've been so abused, even more.